Joining us, and good morning, Zimbabwe.
Good morning. Thank you very much to yours.
Now, as a point of departure, can you just tell us the essence of data usage?
Data usage in Zimbabwe is mostly used for social media, for WhatsApp, and OTT, which are over-the-top technologies, which can be Viber, and it's mostly the cheap technologies or free technologies that are used on top of that.
Okay, fantastic. Now, engineer, most people are striving to, make communication cheaper and easier for themselves. But what do you think about the prevailing data charges in Zimbabwe?
Obviously the mobile networks are no longer making the profits that they used to make, and as you can see, majority of their profits was being made from voice calls and SMSs, and with the coming in of the OTT, which are Viber and WhatsApp, it has actually provided a platform where people can make calls for free and can text for free. So there's got to be a way where mobile networks should be making money, and one of the ways of making money is to increase or probably to have data charges.
All right. We've seen scenarios in other nations, from beyond the shores of Africa, where internet is pretty much, basic and is for free. What will it take for us to get to that scenario as a nation?
That's a very interesting question. We have always believed that one way or the other is going to come. Not outside Africa. I can tell you in Rwanda, internet is free.
Internet. Okay.
If you go into the city of Joburg, it's free internet. If our councillors or our council was dynamic enough, they've got the infrastructure, they've got the libraries, they've got the hospitals, they've got the clinics. So imagine increasing the charges.
Post office?
Absolutely. But just a small amount on the charges that they charge, they can provide internet for free.
Okay.
And with that in mind, it can be a policy within the local authorities where ICT becomes a strategy when they start putting in their strategies for the year.
Quite interesting perspective. Now, to what extent are then consultations on data tariff increase critical in Zimbabwe, especially in light of the debacle we've just had the past couple of weeks?
Absolutely. I think if you look at everything that happens within our shores in Zimbabwe, there is an advert that you see in the paper that we are proposing this. So with our nation now, I think everybody, there are more people, there are more mobile devices or ICT devices in Zimbabwe than there are human beings. So it has shown you that these devices are very powerful. And without consultation, you're going to have the same resistance that came in when they tried to introduce the tariffs. So, I would say technology is right on top of everything that is happening within our country. So if you want resistance, try to introduce something without consulting the nation, who are the stakeholders in this particular area.
Now, speaking and looking at the telecommunications sector in general, what is your perspective with regards of the state in the nation?
At the moment, I would say it continues to be the fastest growing sector. It is definitely the economic driver for our nation. And what we hope and strive to do is, there is the Universal Services Fund that is provided to Portras. We'd like to see a situation where we are getting the government to say we are giving the ICT sector a piece of land to build a technological center where
like Silicon Valley or along those lines.
Absolutely. Whereby the technology, the telecom sector can now fund the research that is done within that respective area. And furthermore, we'd like a situation whereby, apart from the technology sector, technology companies are actually funding that through the students or through the researchers that are working within those technology sectors. And I can tell you, there is an essence and there's always a feeling that agriculture and mining are the economic drivers. But I say, look at every corner of our streets. There's somebody that is selling a technology device. We've got to look at a situation whereby we start making our own accessories, not importing accessories for ICT devices. No, not at all.
Value it to our minerals and, of course, create our own. Now, there's, looking at it, historically, even globally, especially in the United States of America, the past 20 years, which has been described as the dot-com generation, is made a boom in the economy, that it has created a whole lot of young millionaires, in contrast to the traditional forms where ICT was slow growing. But the boom brought about by your Sergey Brins with Google and, your Mark Zuckerbergs with Facebook, why haven't we seen that translate even in our African shows where we've seen young people embrace technologies, come up with new concepts to make them boom and become, obviously wealth and drivers of economies?
I like that question. I'm very passionate about ICT. I'll tell you where the problem is. We've got 40,000 students that come out of university. We expect them to go into, the 40,000 students that I'm talking about ICT students. We would like, when they do their final year university and come out of university, there's got to be somewhere where what they've done has to be implemented, which is what the Americans have done by creating the Silicon Valley of this world. Now, if you look at us, we don't have that stage of moving from university into entrepreneurship. It goes back to what I was saying about Universal Services Fund. It goes back to what I was saying about research. There should be funding that is available for that youngster that is coming out of university to say, you've done a brilliant research. There is a little income that you can now move your project from what it was to another project. I'll tell you why. There is one sector in this economy where you don't need extensive capital injection. I talked about mining. You need a lot of money.
Yeah.
We talk about engineering. When I talk about engineering, you want to build a car, you've got to have a factory. But one area is ICT, and all that you need is intellectual property, intellectual knowledge. You can actually implement something with very little income. And this is where this is missing. Furthermore, there are no, what we would say in courts, I would say people that have been successful in business, who become mentors for these youngsters, who can bring them together and say, you have done this, let's move you to this particular stage. There are very few of them. I've seen, I think it was Simbisa or Simba, a television program that was taking place some time back. That's a brilliant initiative. But we would like those mentors to be available so that they take these youngsters to the next stage.
The next level.
As ZICT, I can tell you we are putting in those structures, and I think for this year, you're going to see a lot of activities taking place. We are introducing one area where we want ICT to start from school, whereby I can tell you 99% of schools in Zimbabwe do not have a soft copy of their logo. 99%, and that's sad. If you go to the next stage and say, how many schools have got the basic website? Just a website. That doesn't exist.
How many headmasters have email addresses?
Thank you very much. Very few of them. How many can use computers? It goes to the next stage. But what we want now, we want the youngsters to be able to design their own logos when they're still in school. We want to take it a step further, whereby the school kids themselves develop their own websites. And by that, we are now introducing them to ICT.
Exposing them to this world, definitely.
At a young age.
ZICT Chairman Engineer Jacob Mutisi coming through to Good Morning Zimbabwe, just telling us more about the information communication technologies arena in the nation, as well as some of the enterprising work that they are about to embark as the ZICT, of course, collaborating together with government and different government institutions to ensure that we take and derive maximum benefit from this ICT boom we are currently living in. Engineer, thank you so much for coming through to Good Morning Zimbabwe.
Thank you.
Now, as we continue